Welcome into the rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app. My name is Rob Sanders. Thanks for joining us today. Jam-packed show for you, ladies and gentlemen. I am I'm basking in the level of petty with some folks, and I thought I'd share some of this with you today. We would talk about some of the most petty things that we've seen in the sports world, and it comes down to a clip that was on a one of the, I can't remember the name of the show. Oh, it's called The Boys. It's from the video show called The Boys. And it starts out, they're talking to Fred Taylor, the former Florida star. There we go. That's what we'll call him. But here's the thing. I bring up the pettiness now. Okay. And we'll talk about some of the more petty things in sports. But when you start thinking about it, there's a lot of petty everywhere. But here's the deal with this. Fred Taylor was asked by these two hosts if he took some money from the University of Georgia and then still went to the University of Florida. And here is the exchange between the three gentlemen here.
But they left you a duffel bag to sign with them over Florida. You ended up choosing Florida and kept the duffel bag.
It wasn't a duffel bag. Yeah, amazing, but it was a gang of cash, man, and
hey, 30 or 50.
It was up there. It was.
You might have to add another 0, closer to 50.
It was closer to 50. And those was the days, man. It was the days I would just go over to this guy's place and say, "Hey, I'm in West Palm. I'm visiting my mom. Come by my place." 1,000, 15, $3,000 every time I went over, and I went over 3-4 times.
All right, so I play that for you because it is next level petty. And what I mean by that is that, he's throwing that out there. Hey, Georgia, I took your money and didn't come to your school. And I'm sure that there was a lot of that going on. But the crazy part is that, hey, we're bringing that up now. And here's the other part that's silly about it. And I'm not picking at you, Georgia folks, because I'm sure this happens across the country. Okay. You have the NIL stuff now, and you can hide how some of the money gets to these recruits. But in reality, they're going to get something, especially these high level guys. These high level guys are going to get something. And Fred Taylor was a heck of a running back for Florida. It says a lot though about, hey, I'm going to take your money, but not come to your school. What in the hell is that? What a mess. Now, here's the thing, too. Does the NCAA come out and say, now we're going to investigate Georgia? I mean, I don't think that's what's going to happen. But what if they decide, hey, we're going to do something? What a mess that turns out to. All because he wants to do an interview for a video cast. That, my friends, is next level petty. And the way that he talked about it is, hey, yeah, I took it. I went back and got more. Now, I know that you're going to say, well, he was an 18-year-old kid. And I'm not saying Fred Taylor is a bad guy. I am saying, though, that this is just a next level of petty type thing. 803-978-1832. Let's go out to the phones. Welcome into the rundown. Good afternoon.
Hey, it's Big Barney Ross. The most petty thing in sports that has just recently happened. Ron Calipari refusing to take comments on the phone.
Yeah,
that's petty.
He is a how can I say this? He is a Ken doll, meaning smooth surface. Go and look that up. That way I don't have to get too crazy here on the radio. But he's a smooth surface. That's what I think of him. I really do.
But at least we're not LSU. Big Barney Ross, I'm out.
Thanks, man. LSU just got rid of their coach, so yeah. I knew Big Barney Ross was going to say something like that. But that is some next level petty nonsense. Well, how does he benefit from that? The guy played, and I mean, he made money. What is he doing? What a mess. Anyway, if you want to respond to that, but then we have other levels of petty. This weekend, North Carolina and Duke are going to play against each other in the Final Four. First time that's happened. And then here's the crazy part about it, though. They're playing for a spot in the national championship game. But you know what? North Carolina fans, you follow some of them on Twitter. You know what they're talking about? Hey, we went into Cameron Indoor Stadium, the last game that Coach K coached there, and we beat you. They're going to hang banners for that, I'm sure, somewhere. I'm sure some fans are going to have that forever. There was talk about, hey, maybe their Coach Davis wasn't quite on par with what they wanted after they got embarrassed at home by Pitt. Or was that on the road? Either way, you lose to Pitt in basketball right now, you're not very well thought of. How'd that work out for them as the season went on? He kept working with them. Finally, last game of the season, we were talking about it on the show. Andrew Jones from Tar Heel Illustrated came on and talked about how, it's a great rivalry and things like that. And what happened? They went into Cameron Indoor, and in my opinion, it's one of the most embarrassing Duke losses ever. How do you not get up and beat North Carolina, a team that lost to Pittsburgh, and they were on the bubble until the final week of the season? How does that happen? Yeah, and then Coach K has to come out and stand with his family afterwards and all that and, get his send-off, but looking up at the scoreboard, and it shows that North Carolina came into your place and beat you. Now, I'm sure North Carolina fans are going to take that to the absolute next level. And fans will do that, but you know what? Here's the other thing. When they play this weekend, deep down, North Carolina's got national titles, Duke's got national titles, but the other crazy thing about this, though, I think that game meant more to North Carolina than maybe this game this weekend. Let's go back out to the phones, 803-978-1832. And welcome into the rundown. Good afternoon.
Hey, Rob, talking about petty.
Yeah.
It was pretty sorry that after Duke lost to North Carolina, some of the Duke assistants refuses to shake hands with the North Carolina players.
Yeah.
And coaches.
And we can remember back to Isaiah Thomas and leaving the bench when the Bulls finally beat them. After they basically beat Michael Jordan silly, when Jordan finally gets the better of them, instead of going out there and shaking their hands and saying, you know what, we won back-to-back titles. Congratulations, you beat us. You were just better than us. Isaiah Thomas and Bill Laimbeer and all those guys are like, screw it, we're leaving.
Yeah, but when Duke beat North Carolina at their home, they shook hands.
Well, I
mean,
you
learn from the guy that leads you. And Mike Krzyzewski, he's the most petty person in all of sports. He's the biggest whiner.
He was.
And his team gets the biggest no calls in basketball.
I agree with you on that. And I agree with you that he's a whiner. But, the people have had their shot to dethrone him. And then all of a sudden now it's like, yeah, all right. He by the way, he changed the way he coached. He went from getting a team together where he had, 3 guys that come and would stay at least 3 years, and he would build those teams up, and then they would go out and they would beat people up. Then when he figured out, well, I've got to do the one and done guys now because that's the way to get those players, and he managed to, continue to put together some great Duke teams, even though they haven't really been playing as well in the NCAA tournament. But this year, they're right there. I mean, they're in the Final Four, but I just think it was like that whole thing with losing your final home game. Wow. And North Carolina fans will let them know about it.
Yeah. I mean, I thought they were going to roll a casket out there for him to get in, and then roll him away from the stadium after that game.
Well, and I wonder.
It seemed like a funeral that he was there to observe.
That's true. But then you got the stuff with Fred Taylor saying, yeah, I took Georgia's money. I took their bag full of money, and I didn't go to the program. What is up with that?
But there's a lot of kids that did that. I remember I watched a 30 for 30, and it was on a running back. His last name was Dupree. Texas gave him all this money, and he wound up signing with Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So it's been going on for a while. I mean,
Yeah, I get you. It's just there's just
If
so much
I'm
petty
18
stuff
and
there.
somebody's going to give me $50,000, you think I'm not going to take it?
I don't blame him for taking it. Here's the thing though. He went through the system, he got the money, he went on and played and had a
Played in
career.
the NFL, yeah.
Yeah. So why go out and throw that now? Like, haha, Georgia, what was it, 25 years ago, however long ago it was? I took your money and didn't even go there. What a next level petty nonsense that is.
But Georgia is Florida's biggest rival.
Yeah, but how does that help now? And look, with
No, it doesn't
Florida
help
right
now.
Yeah, with Florida right now, they're basically coming with their hat in their hand. Georgia's the defending national champion. Florida's not anywhere near the stratosphere of where Georgia is right now. And they've got a new coach and everything else. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. A little petty, but
very petty.
Stick it to them a little bit. I mean, college football needs some talk like that. I remember when Spurrier was there. At least he was, you might not agree with what he says, but he was entertaining. Yeah. All these other coaches are so bland. Nick Saban is bland.
Well, I enjoy the back and forth stuff. Let me make sure I put it out there. I'm just saying the way that came out, just kind of silly in my opinion.
The stuff that Lane Kiffin says about USC, is that petty? Or is it the truth?
Lane Kiffin says so much that it's kind of like I don't even know anymore. Don't even know anymore.
All right, man. Thanks.
Appreciate it. 803-978-1832 as we talk about the land of petty. So much petty that's out there. I want to play the clip for you one more time. Fred Taylor saying, yeah, I took the Georgia Bulldogs money and I didn't even go to their school.
But they left you a duffel bag to sign with them over Florida. You ended up choosing Florida and kept the duffel bag.
It wasn't a duffel bag.
Yeah, amazing,
but it was a gang of cash, man, and
30 or 50.
It was up there. It was.
You might have to add another 0. Closer to 50.
It was closer to 50. And those was the days, man. It was the days I would just go over to this guy's place and say, "Hey, I'm in West Palm. I'm visiting my mom. Come by my place." 1,000, 15, $3,000 every time I went over, and I went over 3-4 times.
803-978-1832. Out to the phones we go. Tell us about your pettiness.
Man. Oh, I love it.
You love it.
Take the money and run. Take them Bulldogs money.
You know what? But here's the question, and this is a real question. I'm not just saying this because you're calling here. If Georgia gave him 50, what did Florida give him to come there? I wonder what
they didn't give him anything.
Oh, stop it.
Oh, they didn't give him anything.
Get out of here with that nonsense.
Hey, we don't do that stuff.
Okay.
He always was a Gator. He was born being a Gator. That's all it was.
Yeah, if he was born being a Gator, he wouldn't take that dirty Georgia money.
Hey, they're getting away. Why not? As I walk up to you and you say, "Hey, here's $50,000," I'm gonna take your money.
Well, of course you would.
You better believe. I love it.
Of course you do.
I love it.
Well,
all this pettiness was petty. Is where y'all coming at Mike Krzyzewski. That's petty.
Okay, well, Krzyzewski has a record of being a whiner. He has a record of being a whiner.
Really? Okay.
He does.
He's a champion, and he's about to cut down their neck.
Yeah, well,
okay.
He can cry and wear his diaper as he crawls up the ladder if they get that far.
That's all right. And we got to forget about that last game. That's over with. That's done with.
So you amaze me. You know why? And I appreciate you calling the program, but if you lose, it's that's in the past. We don't need to talk about that. We just need to talk about the future.
Over. Ain't nothing you can do about that. It's over with.
Then you want to talk about it. You amaze me, Hollywood. You really do.
Hey, it's over with, buddy. That's over with. That's been over, what, 2 months ago? It's over with.
It was not 2 months ago. It was like, what, 3 weeks ago?
It was so long ago, I forgot.
Well, your level of memory is petty.
Yeah. That's over with. Watch what's happened this Saturday night. How about that? And be looking for my call on Monday.
Well, I look forward to your call on Monday, sir. I just hopefully you'll call if Krzyzewski loses, and then you'll tell me I already forgot about that.
One thing about me, I don't shy away.
Well, will you call up and say? Will you call me and say, "Hey, they lost that game, but I don't remember it. It was a month ago."
Oh no, it ain't gonna happen that way. That ain't gonna happen. We're gonna bust them up.
All right, fair enough.
All right.
Hey, one other question for you. When Florida was winning those national titles with Hakeem Noah and all
I was
that,
hard to have him.
well,
I was hard to have him.
Well, did you wear your Florida tube top or did you wear your Duke tube top? Which way did you go? Because both programs were really good.
I'm all Gator, man. I like Duke and basketball, but
okay.
I love them Gators. Man, we were on fire.
Yeah, you were on fire. You won 2 national titles.
And we bust Georgia up every year. You don't talk about that, though, do you?
What, in
Well,
basketball?
We dominate Georgia.
In basketball? Yeah, everybody busts up Georgia in basketball. They don't care about basketball down there.
Florida bust Georgia up every year when Spurrier was there.
I don't remember that, man. That had to be like 15, 20 years ago. Oh, it really was
no.
15, 20 years ago.
Well, you don't know nothing about being a champion, no way. So I understand
really?
that.
Fair enough, sir.
Yeah.
Make sure you call when Krzyzewski gets his face kicked in this weekend.
Oh, it ain't gonna happen.
Right,
it ain't gonna happen.
Appreciate it. Have a good day, man. All right, there you go. Hollywood's cool with the pettiness. Hollywood, he said he wore the Gator stuff, even though it's amazing to me people having the two teams. We can talk about that too. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. B Bean says the Florida program is as innocent and pure as the driven snow. The sarcasm font is over there. Yeah, it's a mess. All right, call up with your most petty moment that you remember. I've got some more. That are right there in the mix. We'll talk about that when we come back. You are listening to The Rundown here on Fox Sports Radio 1400. We are brought to you by Mazda of Columbia, MazdaofColumbia.com. Go get yourself a car. Yeah. New Miatas. If you want a Miata, you can go and get one right now. MazdaofColumbia.com. More of The Rundown when we come back. This is Fox Sports Radio 1400. All jokes aside, Jay, is that real? Or are you just being petty? I'm serious. Yeah, they do. They're an interesting little car. I wouldn't like the Miatas are like a nice little sports car. They really are. Wow. Yeah, that's a good one. I'll read that. Yeah, I'll read all of those. Those are great. Well, welcome back to The Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeart Radio app. My name is Rob Sanders. We're talking about petty today. We started with Fred Taylor saying, yeah, I took Georgia's money and then went to Florida. Then we talked about the North Carolina Duke saga that we get another dose of this weekend. Then we have other levels of petty. Some folks talking about some of their stuff on the in the chat room. I'm going to read a couple of these. We'll start with, let's see here. Where is it? Jay had a great comment earlier saying, Tennessee calling timeout to try to cover the spread of 24 against Georgia last season. Yeah, I mean, I've seen that too, but I've also seen where let's take the South Carolina Clemson game. South Carolina not scoring against Clemson last season. That's something that Clemson fans, they'll let you know about on Twitter. Jay said he also thinks Kentucky did it too. Yeah, there you go with that. Kentucky, I remember the Kentucky game. The Kentucky game was, hey, our offense is going to score on that Georgia defense. That was the big thing, if I remember correctly. You can correct me if I'm wrong there, Jay, but it was, yeah, our offense is actually going to score on the defense, even though it was in the fourth quarter and Georgia was probably playing the backup punter at linebacker. Kentucky was happy they scored on that Georgia defense. I kind of remember that. A couple of other comments here. Let's see. Big Barney Ross says DeJuan Howard slapping an assistant coach. Okay. What else we got? Terrell Owens spikes a ball on the Dallas logo. Yeah, there's that too. There's all of that. But I thought we would talk about some next level petty stuff that you see there. Teams trying really hard at the end of games in college to score 100 points. You've seen that before. Anyway, your most petty moment that you remember, 803-978-1832, in honor of Fred Taylor, who basically said, I took Georgia's money, but I went to Florida. From the outside looking in, it's kind of funny. On the other hand, I kind of agree with what Hollywood said, only a piece of it, where he said, if somebody's trying to give you $50,000, you're going to take that money. Yeah. Yeah. The crazy thing is, though, is that there'll be a simple set, or not a simple set. There'll be a set of folks that find it hard to believe that money changes hands. You've heard that before. Oh, our university doesn't do that. I'm not saying it's the university. It may be somebody else. 803-978-1832, your next level of pettiness. By the way, some Alabama fans did not win the national title, but if you ask them, they'll tell you we won the SEC. Man, they'll rub that in your face in a nanosecond. Hey, you won the national title, but we won the big game in Atlanta the Saturday after Christmas, or Saturday after Thanksgiving, which is what everybody strives for. Yeah, we still claim that conference title. That's some next level pettiness there as well. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. I think players, they do that little bit extra too. Wanting to have a shutout in baseball. Things like that. Big Barney Ross says, throwing mustard, goofballs, and $9 beer at Lane Kiffin. They didn't pay $9 for that beer. Didn't pay $9 for that beer. Elijah says, the guy that poisoned the trees, Harvey Updike. That was a long time ago. So there's that. Dakota says, so is the SEC championship one of those games that doesn't matter anymore? Well, look, I'm not saying it doesn't matter. I have a thing with the championship games. But you know what it comes back down to? It comes back down to Notre Dame should get into a conference. And we've had that debate here on the program. But the reality is I get frustrated when it comes to talking about these conference championship games because they end up being another spot where you can get a ding on your record and Notre Dame's sitting at home. The Saturday after Thanksgiving, they're at the house chilling out. Tell me that's not a fair advantage as far as trying to make your way into the college football playoff. It is. It really is. Another comment, Big Barney Ross says $12 beer. I don't think anyone at Tennessee pays $12 for a beer. I just don't think that happens. B. Bean says Urban Meyer using all of his timeouts in the final minute of the 2008 Georgia game in a 49-10 blowout. Man, I don't remember that, but that is some next level petty. Daniel with an interesting comment. He says championship games should not be played anymore. Just go straight to the 8-game playoff. Or the 8-game or 8-team playoff. I don't know on that one. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. Elijah says, I paid $12 for beer at my first UT game I went to. It was worth it. There was a picture or a video last year, and I think I retweeted it, but it was two gentlemen sharing a beer at a Tennessee game. look kind of silly. Oh, and Daniel says an 8-team playoff. Okay. Yeah. Very good, sir. The more and more I think that we're going to eventually get to that. I like the 4-team playoff now, but there's always going to be the group of 5 team or the extra team that, lost in that conference championship game that they're still going to have, by the way. Why? Because they're already used to it as far as the conference goes. Hey, we're going to get X amount of tickets sold. We're going to end up with some money. They're not going to take that money away from them. They really aren't. Now, maybe if you're like, and we can use the ACC here, if Clemson or North Carolina is not in the ACC championship game, there is a heck of a lot of empty seats. And there's a lot of people that don't watch. Those are facts, ladies and gentlemen. It's just the way that it is. I mean, seriously, I'll have to pull the numbers. The Pitt-Wake Forest matchup, yeah, I mean, their fan bases care, but a lot of them probably aren't going to travel enough to fill up Bank of America Stadium. So maybe that conference could come into it and say, you know what? Why should we have this anyway? We have a better chance of pulling the Notre Dame thing. We'll just keep our guy out, our 2 best teams out, and let everybody else beat themselves up. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832 is the number to call. Big Barney Ross says, now you're getting petty on the Vols high-priced beer. You know why they have $12 beer and that they can charge that much? Because drunks will pay it. That's why. That's exactly why. I would read Jay's comment, but that would probably get me in my PD's office, and I don't need that. But you can go and read it on the in the chat room on Fox Sports Radio 1400's Facebook page. That is I don't want to say it's a petty comment, but it's over the top. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. Talking about your next level of petty. Next level of petty. We come back. We're going to take a break in a moment. We're going to talk about the new football coaches that are signing or taking over in certain spots this year, and which one has the capability of having the best season. I'll give you a list of some of them. We'll see how that works out. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. They should do something about the beer prices. Here's a thought. If your team is losing, the prices should go down. You should be able to drown in your sorrows. So there's that. All right. Don't forget, we're brought to you by Mazda of Columbia, mazdaofcolumbia.com. Be sure to check out their website. Go and find yourself a car right there on the website. Just pick out what you want. They'll have it set up for you. mazdaofcolumbia.com. 803-978-1832, talking about next levels of petty. Also, I've got a story from Floyd Mayweather. Now, don't get upset. Some people are like, man, I hate that guy. Yeah, but this is some next level petty from Floyd Mayweather. We'll get into that and a lot more right here on The Rundown. By the way, thanks for downloading the podcast. Appreciate it so much. Everyone checking out the show however they can get it. Some people can't listen in their cubicles at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I mean, you can download and listen to the iHeartRadio app and listen whenever you want. Find the podcast there. It really is the easiest way to get the show. But folks do download the podcast, and I appreciate it. All right, more of The Rundown. We come back. This is Fox Sports Radio 1400. You want to know something else that is funny to me? Is that universities will lie about, we had 80,000 fans in the stands. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. Stop lying. You had maybe 40,000. Maybe 35,000 of those 40 paid. The rest of it, not so much. Jay, I almost read your comment, and then I was like, yeah, that'll get me in trouble. Can't say that kind of stuff on the radio. Oof. God, that's terrible. Wait, Big Barney Ross's comment's kind of silly. It's nasty raining here too, man. What a mess it's turning out to be out there as far as the weather goes. My goodness. So you went couch or coach? Big Barney Ross is hilarious. Welcome back to the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app, talking about some next level petty stuff. I've given you some examples. Fred Taylor saying, yeah, I took Georgia's money and went to Florida. That's some pettiness. Of course, Duke and North Carolina winning on Coach K's final game at the stadium, at Cameron Indoor Stadium. There's that too. All right, so I'm going to give you some coaches that are in their first year, and we're going to talk about, will they have a huge effect on the season? What I mean by that is that, do you think them coming in could change the way college football season goes? As in, could they be a team that challenges to get into the playoff? Could it be they could be a spoiler team that could knock somebody else out of the playoff? We'll go through some of these coaches in a second. Jay with another good point that I can read on the air. Petty was Dan Mullins saying he lost to A&M because of 25,000 fans during the pandemic. Yeah, I remember that. It was so loud. Oh, somebody needs to, and then he had to walk that back. I wonder what Dan Mullen's going to do now. Seriously. I mean, he seems like he burnt a lot of bridges. Dakota says, I wish Jared Guarantano would have taken Tennessee's money and went somewhere else. Oof. That's harsh, but I can definitely see it. All right, so let's look at some of these coaches, and we're going to figure out, do you think that they could have an effect on the season? Maybe go to the playoffs, maybe knock somebody out of the playoff picture. We'll start with Lincoln Riley. You know, he's already done something similar to this before when he took over Oklahoma in 2017. Here's the big thing with this, though. He's going to play in the Pac-12, and I think the Pac-12 is going to be not very good this year. So he could, in theory, get his team to the playoff in his first season. If he can get his transfer quarterback to do their thing. He's got a new defensive coordinator in Alex Grinch. Maybe they're a little bit ahead of schedule. His team could be one that knocks some stuff off and gets into the college football playoff, simply based on the fact that their schedule is not really that complicated. The next one is Mario Cristobal. Mario Cristobal has the ability, in my opinion, if he can rally the troops there in Miami. And we had someone call yesterday and talking about, what is it, Tyler Van Dyke or Alex Van? I can't remember. It's Van Dyke. There we go, from Miami. And this young man, he said, was one of the top 5 returning quarterbacks in the country. I don't know if I'll buy that or not, but at least Cristobal's going down there with a quarterback. So they do have some transfers. Mitchell Agood, Daylor Proctor, Henry Parrish. Here's the thing. They're playing in the Coastal Division of the ACC. That's not that hard. And I think that they could win the Coastal and move their way right into Charlotte. So, yeah, he could have a big effect on the season. Brian Kelly at LSU, yeah, he plays an SEC West schedule, which is tough, but what exactly are we expecting from LSU this season? Are the expectations really that high? I mean, they're trying to get over what Ed Orgeron had. There's been so many people transferring in and out. Who knows, man? Who knows at this point? But they could be a team that maybe in his first season, they're not going to make the college football playoff, in my opinion, but they could keep somebody else from going. Billy Napier at Florida is probably right there in the same boat. I don't know how high the expectations are at Florida this year. I really don't. I think going to a bowl game is probably what if that happened, they would love it. But in the end, it boils down to this. With the schedule that they have, if they knock off somebody, they could knock somebody out of the college playoff picture. And hey, if you can do that in season 1, that's something good to take to the rubber chicken dinners that you have to do in the off season. Dakota says, I'm hoping LSU still sucks. That's funny. Baylor Man says, I despise Oklahoma, but he's talking about Lincoln Riley here, but he did them dirty. Yeah, man, he took all their money and left. He just did it on the coaching level. So there's that. And that moves into Brent Venables for Oklahoma. He could, if he can rally the troops there. Now they're bringing in an entirely different system, in my opinion. And I don't know how that's going to work out for him. I know he's a heck of a defensive coordinator, but can he be a good head coach? We don't know. Here's what we do know, though. They'll be in the Big 12. And if he can maneuver his way through that schedule, he might have his team make the playoff as well. It's in theory, it could happen. It's not that far-fetched. All right, 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. Dan Lanning at Oregon. He could be the other coach that could run through that Pac-12 schedule. And if that happens, then maybe make his way to the playoff. Now, here's the thing, though. A lot of it hinges on that first game of the season against Georgia. If he goes into that game and his team's competitive, and then and I say competitive in that they lose by, 10 points, 7 points, whatever, where we're watching the game in the fourth quarter thinking, turnover here. Maybe that'll change some things. Not saying that's going to happen. I'm just saying if that does work out that way for Dan Lanning, then there's a possibility that he could get his team in there in his first season. It's not that far-fetched. All right, then we got Marcus Freeman at Notre Dame. Their 2023 recruiting class looks really, really good. There's a lot of good things that he's doing, but we don't know how good of a coach he's going to be on the field. Here's the thing, though. Notre Dame is always, for some reason, there's going to be a section of folks that think, well, if Notre Dame goes 10-1, they should be in the college football playoff picture. Yeah, that's where they should be. There will be that out there. Now, can he guide his team to that? We'll see. He's got 2 tough games on. Actually, no, they've got 3 tough games on the schedule. I believe they open up with Ohio State. And then they've got Clemson and North Carolina on the road. So, yeah, if he can weave through those games, maybe they do belong in the college football playoff picture. Think about that for a second. If you have Notre Dame and they beat North Carolina, Clemson, Ohio State, and Southern Cal all in the same season, do you keep them out of the playoff with that? Interesting. But he's got a shot to maybe do some big things there in his first season. All right, if you want to talk about those, 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. Dakota says Notre Dame doesn't deserve a playoff position until they enter a conference. I'm with you on that. Go to a conference. Just stop it. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. Elijah says the biggest win Brian Kelly ever had was against Clemson, but Trevor Lawrence was out. And if you remember that game, Uyunglele threw for a record number of yards, the most yards ever thrown against Notre Dame in their house. Yeah, that's DJ Uyunglele. Not saying that Trevor Lawrence would have done something different there, but that game was more of Clemson was short on the defensive end. Linebackers and the secondary, they all were kind of chewed up in that game. Anyway, to go down memory lane with that. I don't like talking about games that happened during COVID. I know that sounds kind of silly, but I'm just over the whole pandemic thing. I'm done. 803-978-1832. I don't agree with Dakota saying the only thing Notre Dame needs to play for is funsies. Hilarious. That's petty, Dakota. All right, 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. If you'd like to join us here on the rundown, I've got a story about Floyd Mayweather when we come back. It's going to make you say, man, this guy's petty. We'll get into that and a lot more as we roll along here on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Of course, you can find us around the world on the iHeartRadio app. We appreciate you checking out the show there. And, of course, on the podcast feed. Don't forget my buddy Lawton Swan. He is up after I am done here. He will take you home with Clemson Sports Talk.
Stop looking at me, Swan.
More of the rundown when we come back. This is Fox Sports Radio 1400. Yeah. Look, if Notre Dame can win in Columbus, win at North Carolina, win at home against Clemson, and then beat Southern Cal, that's a heck of a season. Just on paper, that looks like a heck of a season. How did you fall out of your truck, Dakota? How did that happen? Did you just slip or something? I went to get gas yesterday, and this is funny. So I went to get gas yesterday, and there's this big truck that pulls up next to me. I mean, it's like this guy put like these huge rims and everything else on it, big old tires. And he gets out, and he's got almost like a bench or a pillow or something to sit on so that he could see over the steering wheel. What a mess. Yeah, don't change your windshield wipers in the rain. That's what we learned today on the program. Don't change your windshield wipers in the rain. That is not a good thing. Oh, man. See, I have issues this weekend with the college basketball, championship. I'm going to watch some of that. I'm tall enough. I don't need a stool, man. This guy was not. Let's just leave it at that. Leave it at that. Anyway, I've got issues this weekend. I don't want to, I do not want to watch North Carolina and Duke play basketball. I just don't want to watch it. I'm all about the Twitter beef afterwards, though. I'm going to watch WrestleMania, or I'm not going to watch anything at all. Might just sit on my back, out on my patio in my backyard, and hope it doesn't rain, and watch, and not watch anything. Watch the bottle of bourbon slowly disappear. Maybe that's kind of the way to go. Kansas is cheaters, by the way. Heck with them. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to dial if you'd like to join us here on the rundown. A couple of quick things before we get out of here. Final segment. There could be a problem coming up in the NBA, and I know folks are like, I don't like the NBA, but this is something that is going to be a mess if you like to bet, which is why I'm talking about this. The Toronto Raptors are, I think, the fourth seed in the playoffs right now. Here's the thing, though. If you're not fully vaccinated, you can't play in Toronto. That's the law of the country there. So no vaccination, no playing. So you could end up with, let's say that the Nets with Kyrie Irving, who is leading the no vaccination charge there as far as the NBA players go, says, hey, you know what? I'm still not getting my vaccination. The Nets could have to go up there and not have their best players. Or it could be from any other team that has guys that have not been able to, or chose not to get vaccinated. It's one of the cool things about our country. You can choose not to do things, and I think that's great. But now it's going over into, hey, guess what? You're not going to be able to play in the playoffs. Silly Canada. What good thing has come out of Canada besides the Mountie from WWE and maybe Bryan Adams, but we tried to send him back. Nothing else really good comes out of Canada, right? Why did the NBA put a franchise there? I did say giving the Canadians, the Buffalo Bills, as a gesture of goodwill would make a lot of sense, but then they'd have to deal with that too. Anyway, I'm over the whole pandemic thing. I know that it doesn't sound like it's the proper way to be, but man, we get it. It's crazy. 803-978-1832. 803-978-1832. Jimmy says whiskey. Okay. But you know what? I'm an American. I'll just get my whiskey from, I'll get my bourbon from Kentucky. We'll go with that. Jay says, I would take a drive-through job just to get food. Stop it. Stop it. 803-978-1832. 803-978-1832. Dakota says, why is the NFL when there are no other teams in any other countries? I think that they're going to put a team in London. I think that's going to happen. All right, so Floyd Mayweather, and I bring this up too because this is some petty stuff. He sounded off on load management in the NBA, which is by far one of the silliest, weakest things ever. I can only play so much. Then I'm going to have to take a seat. Kawhi Leonard's big for that. In an interview with YouTuber sports icon Mayweather said that NBA players sitting out games while not injured is a troubling trend. Really? Quote, they'll play a couple of games and take a couple of games off. That's not cool. With that type of money, if you're not hurt, you need to be out there playing because these people pay a lot of money for their NBA players to entertain. Okay. Look, here's the thing with that. Floyd Mayweather needs to get his daily glass of just shut up. Why? Because Floyd Mayweather ducked opponents. Get your typical boxing folks out there. Yeah, he's 50-0, and I get that. Never got beat. And they'll tell you, oh, he fought this guy. Yeah, he fought Oscar De La Hoya when Oscar De La Hoya was ancient. He fought Canelo Alvarez when Canelo Alvarez was 18, 19. Fought him when he was a kid. Yeah, but Floyd Mayweather's the greatest. And hey, I'm going to duck guys and, put all that out there. But hey, if you take time off in the NBA, it's not good. That's some next level pettiness right there. That's why boxing's fallen off the planet now, because guys think they're better than, hey, I'm better than this guy, or I'm not going to take a fight with that guy because it's a bad matchup. Yeah, that's out there now. That's what I like about the UFC. Dana White determines who's fighting. Okay, you're going to go fight here. You're under contract. Good luck, bro. Go fight. (803-978-1832). 803-978-1832. That is the number to dial if you'd like to join us here on the Rundown. Let's take a call. Welcome into the program. Good afternoon.
Rob, how you doing? It's Bobby.
Hey, Bobby.
And Casey.
How you doing, friend?
Doing well. Saw Canelo Alvarez fights May 7th, right around Cinco de Mayo. But it's going to set up for the next big rematch between him and Triple G, Golovkin.
Yeah.
So if you really want to look on your radar for the big fights there, To me, he's pound for pound one of the greatest right now in boxing. I know you're more of the UFC guy. I'm a little bit older than you, so I like boxing. So that's a big fight coming up on the radar on May 7th.
Well, I look forward to that, but I just think it's petty that Mayweather talks about load management with the NBA guys. Where
whatever.
he actually
Mayweather
bets
owns
and
his
stuff.
own. Not to cut you off, I'm driving. I got to get off quick. But Mayweather owns his own casino. He has so much money he can really, essentially say that kind of stuff. That's his ego talking.
Sure.
He lives in Vegas, owns his own casino, has his own promotion company like De La Hoya. So,
yeah.
But anyway, if boxing is corporate champions with alphabet soup, WBA, WBC, on and on and on and on, when it's time to make the money, when you're fighting two fighters under the same promotion, it's predetermined, predestined. But say Aaron wants to go against King or De La Hoya or whoever wants to go against King or Aaron, let's get together and make a lot of money and let them fight for real. So you can see that in Golovkin and Canelo Alvarez because they have two different, promoters. So anyway, it's nice to talk to you. I'm on the way home, so it's pretty rainy out here.
Good
Take
stuff,
care.
buddy. Take care. All right. Daniel says Floyd would beat Manny Pacquiao all day long. Manny couldn't land a shot on him, and that's fine too. I kind of believe that. So anyway, not to get into the Floyd Mayweather thing, but yeah, he's definitely throwing that stuff out there. All right, so working on some stuff for tomorrow. We're going to start doing some NFL draft preview. We're also going to do, I think next week we're going to try to look at some spring depth charts because they'll be out there. We'll get into that. Delta 900 says, he says, Daniel, I'll take Pacquiao in his prime against Mayweather. Daniel also says Floyd is one of the greatest boxers ever. The problem is fans don't want to see boxing. They want to see hitting, and getting hit isn't really boxing. Yes, sir. I agree with you on that. And I'm not taking anything away from Mayweather as a fighter. I just think that the cycle that he ended up in where he didn't really get a lot of guys at their peak, or he fought guys before they got to their peak. And I guess I kind of hold that against him. And I should be less petty and be more respectful of Mayweather and his 50-0 record. So there you go with that. Look, I'm trying to be less petty today. I'm not trying to be like Fred Taylor taking all that money. 803-978-1832. Dakota says, put Mayweather up against Sylvester Stallone. Sly's like 75. Mayweather might knock him out. Seriously. All right. So podcast will be up at 5:00 today. Lawton Swan will be here at the top of the hour. Make sure you check out his program. He is, of course, Clemson Sports Talk. We appreciate him and the fine program that he puts together. Make sure you check out his show.
Stop looking at me, Swan.
I'm on Twitter at Rob Sounds Good. We'll see you tomorrow. All right, you guys rock, man. We'll see you later. That's a good question, Jay. I don't know. You would be Glass Joe, though. How much money did you get for that? Glass Joe. Glass Jay. See you guys later.